And we're going across now to the Kapiti coast, actually, to fashion designer Danni Rose. Are you there, Danni?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, Leanne.
Hi there. Hey, thank you very much for talking with us today.
Oh, of course. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's great. And, you know, I've enjoyed talking to designers in the last couple of weeks, and you're quite special because you're based in Kapiti and, you know, you've kept it small, but you're actually getting a really great following. How have you managed to achieve that, especially in these times?
To be honest, I actually feel like, I know we're going to discuss how COVID's affected my business, but I actually am really grateful for COVID happening in a way. I know it sounds really bad, but I'm just trying to find the positive in it, because I felt like when we did go into that lockdown, I didn't have a website then, I just had my Instagram, and I was making clothes to order, and then I found myself with a lot of fabrics, and, you know, everybody was trying to support small businesses a lot more than before because they were aware of the impact that it was having on smaller businesses. So it was joining groups and using hashtags like shop local and support local, and then people finding me and actually sharing my business on their page. And once I had a few good reviews, you know, like, it just grew really organically for me. So
right,
that was interesting. So at that point I was still working a full-time job, and this was just a side thing for me. But yeah, thanks to COVID and people being more aware of where they are shopping and how their clothes are being made because of that, you know, my business grew a lot. And now, yeah, I'm working for myself full-time, and I have an employee, and we really focus on making sure that, you know, we're sustainable and it's all ethically made from the start to the finish, like where we source our fabric to how it ends up to the customer and the longevity of the garment as well.
I like what you say about dealing with every person in their own particular way, like creating things for that specific body shape, for that, you know, for that style, how they want to wear things, because that's why, you know, the quick fast fashion that's on offer these days really kind of doesn't work for a lot of people, because we're squeezing into things that aren't right, don't make us look good, and why are we bothering with that? So it's great there's people like you.
Yeah, thank you. I actually worked in retail for about, I think, 5 years part-time, and then full-time for 2 as well. And that's where I found like the demand for what I am doing, with so many women were coming in, and I'd be at the fitting rooms trying to help them, and the amount of people who were feeling like discouraged or leaving in kind of like a bit of a foul mood because they've tried something on and it just made them feel bad about themselves. And there's such a focus on the size that's on the garment and how that would make them feel, you know, and if I suggest maybe try a size up or a size down, like, people are so attached to that number. But what I focus on is that everybody is completely, you know, different and unique. So my huge focus is making sure it is made to order garments. So when the customer shops with me, they're putting in their height and their bust measurement, and it's made completely for them. You know, it's such a different way of shopping. They get to choose the fabric, the colour of the linen that it's made in. You know, they create a really good relationship to my brand, and to, you know, I'm mostly me and Tash, who's my worker, we're creating that garment for them. So they're really part of the process in shopping, but also the creation of their garment, you know.
That's a really exciting process, isn't it? Because, like, I think most women would probably say the only thing they've ever perhaps been fitted for is perhaps the dress they wore when they got married, maybe, and that's about it.
Yeah,
you know,
or having alterations, you know, and then that is such an expense as well, because there's a minimum charge they have to put out there. But a lot of the time it's the length or just raising the waistline. So if I get to that problem before the garment's made, it's so much easier for me to make sure that the garment's fitting them how they want. And so when they are trying it on, they do feel good. Like, I want people to feel good.
You know, you touched on a really important point there. You said you don't want people leaving grumpy and with a poor body image and just feeling frustrated, which I think is 99% of the time that we shop. I don't know about you, but you do tend to go away going, oh, unless you're having a great day, and, you know, it's rare that you put on something and you just go, wham, bam, that's brilliant, you know. And so I think that's nice, that feel-good factor of leaving, having consulted with you, having had time, and also not feeling rushed.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what's so interesting that I found is, like, when I was working in retail, this is kind of where my research, I guess, came from to figure out what I really wanted to do with my business, was our conversion rate for people that would walk in, you know, and most people would walk in there intending to want to choose something to buy. Less than 11% of people are actually buying who have walked in, and so many of them are leaving frustrated and maybe coming across towards the staff in a negative way. But it's just how it is. Clothes aren't always going to fit every single body, and if you find a brand that works for you, that's amazing. But that I have such a good relationship with my customers, and I connect with them more on a friendship way as well, get to know their names and chat with them and really try and meet their needs, because I want it to be an experience, not just a quick purchase that people are like, oh, that looks nice on the website, I'm going to buy that. So I don't Photoshop any of my images, and I try and make sure it's on people who actually would wear my clothes, and just trying to have a bit more of a raw and real approach to the industry.
And maybe this harks back to how things were done centuries ago, with going to a tailor and choosing the fabrics. That's cool. That's a great fun thing to do.
Yeah. But now people, that's seen as such an expensive thing to do, like men's suits and, like you said, brides' dresses and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I feel like that was always my dream, to go somewhere and choose the fabric and, get to even meet the designer and see where it's made and everything like that. I feel like I've really closed the gap of, I buy my fabric from a local company and get it sent to Kapiti, where I'm based, make it and then send it to the customer. It's a really small gap between me to the customer to their garment.
Right. And how is it working in Kapiti on the coast there? I was up there recently and I've never really been that way, and I so enjoyed it. But it is quite, well, it's not a city, is it? Does it work fine for you?
Yeah, well, so I have a studio mainly based out here, and I've managed to create a small shopfront area so people can come visit. But yeah, majority of my customers are based in Wellington and Auckland and Christchurch, my top three. So I don't really do a lot of in-store, I don't really have a proper shop for people to come to, but it's more of a meeting and a consultation space to connect with them. A lot of it's actually just done online. We moved out here in June last year, and I only actually just got the studio in February this year. So even to have a bigger space to work from has been amazing. Eventually, I would obviously love to have a shop to really get to meet all of my customers, well, a lot more of them face-to-face, because that's what I enjoy doing. I'm a people person. But for right now, I just have Instagram to thank for starting it all off, and, that they get to comment on your things and message you privately and all of that. And I really focus on putting the time and effort into that with my customers. So, it kind of replaces me not having that shop. Does that make sense?
100% makes sense.
Yeah.
You haven't done a lot of radio, but you're a very good interviewee, I have to say, Danni.
Oh, thank you. I was actually quite nervous coming on.
Well, you shouldn't have been, because everything you've said has been spot on, and kind of you've been answering the questions that I wanted to put to you, and I can fully understand, where you're coming from. It's the slower, more inclusive approach. And obviously sustainability is massive these days, and it has to be. And, you're doing all that. So, and you did say, do you have customers, you mentioned other cities, people coming to you from lots of different areas. Do you have southern clients as well?
Yeah, I send a lot down south, a lot of my garments. When people are in around the area, I think because I have that really friendly relationship with me, they do message and come and stop by the studio, which I love. They get to see a little bit of a behind-the-scenes action. And I'm only just trying to ship to Australia now, but, the more people share about your brand and the more that they can see, people are getting so confused with the sustainable fashion industry at the moment, because, there's this whole thing about it being who's sustainable, who's not, where's it made, is it ethically done, and all of that. And it's amazing, but then you can go onto websites now, I don't want to name and shame, but, some of the fast fashion brands, they have so much money to put into theming and using these keywords and greenwashing to be oh, but these types are made from recycled plastic. Oh, that's amazing. I'm doing my part. But it's you need to look so much more further into that brand before just thinking, oh, it's made from recycled bottles. I'm just doing great, because at what percentage is it made from recycled bottles, or where was it made? Is it going to last, once you've washed it once or twice? That's the main thing, is so many garments after their first wash don't fit how they did the first time, And
exactly.
then they just get frustrated, and then it goes into, you know, like I'm so sure it's something like 70% of items that are donated to. It was when I was at uni, that's a quote from back then a few years ago, but 70% of items that are donated to second-hand stores aren't even sold, and then a lot of them are bagged up and sent over to overseas, you know, and then just dumped into landfill, and it's, I don't know, it's so awful. So, and, you know, there are brands like Shein and stuff, I'll name and shame them, because they really frustrate me how much they take off smaller brands, apply it to theirs, and, you know, in what world is it okay to buy a $7 dress? Like, it's not okay, and it doesn't last long. And now, because I love op shopping, so now I'm going into op shops and I'm just seeing so many fast fashion brands there still with the tags on it, and it doesn't need to be like that. And I think the industry is changing, so, you know, in two ways. Like, it's getting a lot cheaper, and, like, you know, Shein and stuff like that are a lot cheaper, but then there's this complete other side to it where, you know, influencers and stuff are talking about it more and trying to share brands that do have better values, and you can connect with your customer so much more and be like, and it feels more real. There's just two sides of it, and I'm struggling. Like, my customer base is, you know, like mid-20s to their 50s, so I'm trying to get into the market now of the younger audience as well, so I can help educate, like, you know, with my blog posts and things like that. And that's why I do now have a pre-made range, so I pre-make some clothes and sell them at a lower cost than as if it was made to order, because, you know, I want all people to be able to shop with me, and I don't think that sustainable fashion has to be super, super expensive. But, you know, it's that same thing I always say, is like quality over quantity. Like,
yeah. That's coming through a lot, isn't it? And it's such an important point. It's the same point that was made by Jane Sutherland. She's a Kingston designer last week, and that's what she said, one beautiful piece, like a lovely coat, and that you have for 20, you might have a whole lifetime, you know, if you look after it. It's a great feeling.
And it's made to last, and, like, that's the whole thing, is you want clothes that are made to last, and you can hand it down, and, you know, it doesn't get all the pills on it and all the, like, little fitty bits, and like lose its shape and everything like that. And then also, when you're buying clothes that you've spent a little bit more money on, you know, their quality, I honestly believe that people treat that piece of item, like, differently. They care for it more, they wash it how they're supposed to, and really have more of an attachment to it, because it's not just, a $5 t-shirt or something, you know?
Yeah, and I disagree with anyone who says fashion is irrelevant in this world, because it's one of the most important things in this world, I think, because it makes us feel good. And, you know, it's not, you know, it's funny how it's dismissed as superficial, but I think, you know, there's certain things in life that make us feel good. Music, fashion, you know, even hair on occasion, you know, hairstyles. So it's like now more than ever, as we're going through this uncertain sort of wobbly phase, you know, of coming through a pandemic, it's a great thing. And yeah, if you can, that's right, if you can keep it affordable for people. I mean, obviously we're in a cost of living crisis at the moment, but I think they'll probably be quite surprised that they're not going to pay an arm and a leg. How do people actually get in touch with you, Danni, who are listening today?
So I've got my website, which is dannirosedesigns.com, and that's where you can see all of the designs and shop the range and read a lot about us. But if I just want to have a little quick look at what I do, Instagram's the best place, because I do a lot of behind-the-scenes work on there, like showing videos of the process, how it's made, and, you know, like, that's probably the best place to go look at the brand and then have a look at the website after. Perfect.
Oh, well, that's great. Well, it's been just wonderful talking with you, Danni, and I've got to go and take a couple of calls about a competition right now, but I hope that I can come and see some of your clothes in the future when I'm next up in the capital.
Yeah, definitely stop by.
Yeah, it'll be great. I really appreciate your time, Danni. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.